Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Here we are with Caleb, and today we're gonna talk a little bit about sleep. I've been getting a lot of questions about Caleb's sleep time and how long he sleeps, how often he sleeps. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a video about that. Caleb just turned a year last week, and that's why I did not film a video. His birthday was on Sunday, and we were just so hectic. There were so many things to do. We had the party here at our house, so we just had to like fix everything and finish the last touches and whatever. There was a bunch of stuff that we had to do. So hopefully this video today will be a little bit longer, just because I wasn't able to film my video last week. But like I said before, I wanted to talk about his sleep schedule. So a lot of new moms and just moms in general have asked me what it is that I do, because Caleb basically sleeps 12 hours at night. So I put him every day to bed at around 7, and he wakes up at about like 6:30, 6:45. There's days where he does wake up at like 5, and I'll just breastfeed him and then put him back in his crib, and he'll sleep for like another hour or two. But basically what I did was, I believe I've talked about it before, but I'll mention it again. And I had somebody tell me that when I brought the baby home from the hospital, not to wake him up every like 2 to 3 hours like you're told to feed the baby. And that's exactly what I did. Now, I do want to make it very clear that this does not work for everybody, and this is just what I've done for my baby. I'm not suggesting you to do this for your baby. Always talk to your pediatrician before you make any decisions about not feeding your child or how often you're feeding them. But I made this decision for my baby because he was breastfeeding and he was gaining weight and he was extremely healthy. So I was able to do this, and from the get-go, I was in the hospital for maybe like 2 to 3 days after my C-section, and the nurses would come in every 3 hours and wake me up to have him eat. And while we were at the hospital, that's what I did. I did wake up every 2 to 3 hours, and I fed him every 2 to 3 hours whenever they came in. Now, once I got home, I no longer did that because I took the advice of my friend, and so he would actually from the very beginning sleep about 5 hours when it came to nighttime. His bedtime was very late. He wouldn't go to sleep like for actual like nighttime sleep until like 1 a.m. And I slowly had to bring that down like little by little, like throughout time. I just kept lowering it and lowering it. But that is what I found really helped for me, was just letting him sleep without waking him up. Yeah. So so like I said, he would sleep 5 hours straight at nighttime, and then he would wake up. I would change his diaper, I would feed him, and I would put him back to sleep. And he would sleep pretty well at night, I would say. Obviously there were times that he would wake up, but it's all part of the process. When he was like 1 month old, he would actually take like a 3-hour nap during the day. And people told me just to be careful with that because they could confuse morning and night, but I had no issues with him. He was fine. He would take that 3-hour nap, and there would be no problem of him sleeping throughout the night. And basically what I did was, I would like eat, play, sleep with him. And the point of that was, not to get used to him like eating right before he slept, because that can create a bad habit, and it could make it so that you could only put the baby to sleep if he eats. And for nighttime, that's actually our case. So the only way that Caleb actually goes to sleep for nighttime is if he is breastfed. So every single night I breastfeed him, and then I put him in his crib. They do say that that's not good, because if you one day aren't home, then what do you do? But I'm lucky to be a stay-at-home mom, and so I am able to do that. I don't have any other kids. He's my only child. Yes. He's my only child, so I am able to stay up with him. I am able, if he needs to, because he doesn't stay up, but I am able to feed him every day. And I am able to just be there for him. Okay, so Caleb seems to be done. So like I was saying, I am able to be there for him, and I am able to breastfeed him every single night. So that's basically what I've been doing with him throughout his lifetime. One thing that I also think is very important is one of my other friends told me to start a nighttime routine with him. And so once I started the nighttime routine with him, he basically knew what was coming. He basically knew what it was I was going to do. I do the same exact thing every single night, and he knows that it's bedtime. And one of the things that I incorporate into the bedtime routine, or basically the main thing of the nighttime routine, is a bath. So like I said in the beginning, his bedtime was 1 a.m. because I could just not get him down before that. That was when he was a newborn baby. And they basically sleep all day, so no big deal. So I would bathe him back then at like 11:30 p.m. Just so that it would help him wind down. Like, he would be warm, his body would be like nice and clean and like ready for bed. And it just helps so much because he knew that was part of the bedtime routine, and then that meant that the long span throughout the night was coming. So I still do that with him today. I have brought his bedtime down all the way down to 7. So like I said in the beginning of the video, his bedtime is 7. At around 6 or 6:30, I start his bath. And then I'll just put him in there. I let him play for a while, depending on how early or late it is. And after that, I play some music for him, and I get him ready for bed. So if you are having trouble with getting your baby down, maybe it's important to incorporate a routine like that, and you have to be consistent about it. Do it every day. If you can't do it, like, have your husband do it, or your wife, or whatever, whomever's at home with you. If you have your parents living with you and they help you out, have them help you out, but have them follow the exact same routine every night so that they understand, okay, this is what we do every single night before we go to bed for like a long span of time. That has been, I think, one of the biggest things that has helped me to get him down. The hot bath or the warm bath helps him wind down and helps him, feel ready for bedtime. And I've just found it to work amazingly. So these videos are getting a little bit harder to film because, as you guys can see, Caleb is walking around everywhere, exploring, touching everything. He walked for the first time at like 10 weeks, at like 10 months and 3 weeks, which was awesome. So I basically have to watch everything that he does because I'm so afraid of him falling. But anyway, so one of the questions was, how did I get my baby to sleep so early? And like I said, in the beginning, his bedtime was 1 a.m. It took me a lot of time to get him down. Okay, well, I guess he wants to eat again. So, like I was saying, what I did is about every 2 weeks or so, I would just lower his bedtime by 30 minutes. So, like I said, I used to bathe him at 11:30 p.m. To get him ready for his 1 a.m. bedtime. And little by little, I just bathed him at 11. I bathed him at 10:30. I bathed him at 10. But every time it was 30 minutes, but 2 weeks at a time. So, it was a gradual change and it wasn't just drastic. And little by little, I managed to get it down to 7 p.m. which is amazing because like that, it gives me time to do things at night. It gives me time for myself. And it just gives me so much freedom because, when your babies stay up so late, sometimes it's hard because, you have to tend to them all day. Now, the only thing about putting him to sleep so early is that he also wakes up super early. So I was not the type of person to get up early. I'm that type of person that needs sleep. I need 12 hours of sleep, or at least I needed. Now that I have him, I don't sleep the 12 hours anymore, but it's okay because, anything for him. Now, for his daytime naps, I basically followed something that I found online, and it basically tells you by age, like what to do, like when to put your baby to sleep. And basically as they get older, you start increasing the time that they're awake. So for example, when he was a lot younger, he would only stay up an hour, and so he would take a nap every hour. Now he is up to about 3 hours a day. So it depends on the time that he wakes up and at the time and how long his naps are. Because sometimes he wakes up at like 6 in the morning and he's ready to go. And so I give him a nap every 3 hours. So sometimes it will be like 3 naps, but sometimes it will be 2 depending on certain things. So sometimes he takes 30-minute nap, and then sometimes he takes like an hour, hour and a half nap. So it all depends on the length of the nap, and then, you know, like how early he woke up. There are also days, like you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because if it tells you, okay, when they're a year old, they're supposed to sleep like every 3 hours, or they're supposed to sleep every 4 hours, or they're only supposed to take 1 nap. I mean, everything is relative and every baby's different. So sure, I actually think that he's supposed to be taking maybe only like 1 nap a day, or even 2, but there's days where he takes 3 naps, and I'm okay with that. And it's gonna be that way because that is what he needs. So like I was saying, there's times where he takes 2 naps, there's times where he takes 3 naps. Now, if it's approaching too close to actual like bedtime, then sometimes I won't give him the last nap of the day. So for like the 3-hour like wake window, basically the last time that I try to put him to sleep for a nap is like 3:30, because if he sleeps half an hour, then that gives him basically like a 3-hour wake window. Although there's times where he does sleep a little bit longer, so I'll put him to bed a little bit later, maybe like 15 minutes or so, but not super late. However, sometimes there are days where like the nap he ends up taking at like 2 or like at 1:30, and then he ends up being awake for a longer period of time. And when that happens, I just put him to bed a little bit sooner. So I'll put him to bed at 6:30 instead of at 7. And he still wakes up as his regular time of like 6 or 7 or whenever. And it just works so much better because he's not so overly tired. Because as you guys know, like babies get really fussy, and sometimes they're just like hard to deal with because they're just so tired. And that's why their naps are so important. And that's why like everything that you like read and see online, you need to take with a grain of salt. Because if I see that one day he's tired, maybe like after an hour and a half or 2 hours, I put him to sleep. You know, like they tell you what they need. So right now we're following basically like the 3-hour wake window. Right? Yeah. So you want to say hi? Say hi. But like I said, you know, there are times where I'll put him to sleep sooner after like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And it's so important for them to get their rest, because if they don't, they just get cranky, and you know, like it's frustrating and it's not their fault. So you just have to really try to understand your baby and what it is that they need, and just like get a routine and like follow what they need. Now, there is one thing that, because I am a stay-at-home mom and he's my first baby, I basically carried him for like his naps when he was a baby, because sometimes that was the only way of getting him to take a nap. And now, the only way that he takes a nap during the day is basically if he is like rocked. So either in my arms or rocked in the stroller. Or, you know, I can always take him for a ride in the car seat and he definitely falls asleep there. But I think that it's important, you know, especially if you're busy, if you're working, if you have things to do, to teach them to sleep in their crib, so that they actually learn, because babies learn what they're exposed to, right? Like everything that you do is what they learn. So if you put them in their crib from the beginning, then they learn to sleep in their crib. If you put them in your arms to sleep every day, then they learn to sleep in your arms. So I just think that, you know, whatever works for you, like for me, it worked for him to sleep in my arms, and I was okay with that, and I wouldn't have changed it, in the sense that, you know, I'm not going to be able to do that for my next child, but I was able to do it for him. And, you know, eventually I think that he will learn to sleep in his crib for his naps. So they also say that you can create a routine for naps, you know, like reading them a book or changing their diaper or whatever it is that you want to do. And I think that that could help tremendously. I will probably do that next time, but for now we will stick with rocking him because that is what he's used to, and that's the only way I can get him to sleep. And so many people have told me to just leave him crying, and I'm sorry, but I don't believe in the cry it out method. For all those mamas that do, that's great. If that works for you, like, more power to you, go for it. But for me, like, it's not something that I believe in. I am not gonna leave my son to cry. I did leave him one time because I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick him in the crib. He slept his nap in the crib, no problem. And then I put him in the crib again for his next nap, and he was just not having it. Like, he cried for like 30 minutes, and when I went into his room, he was all sweaty, and I just felt so terrible. And, you know, I just had all this mama guilt because I said that I would never let him cry, and I let him cry that one time, and it's just never happening again. For me, it wasn't necessary. I think it's what you expose them to and like how you train them like from an early age. So again, all babies are different, and whatever works for you is awesome. This is just what works for me and what works for my baby, and I'm extremely happy with how everything has gone. I know that it's so hard. I have like mamas at the park tell me all the time how their babies are 1.5 years, 2 years old, and still waking up multiple times at night. And, you know, all I can say to that is that it gets better, it gets easier. They're not gonna wake up at night forever, and they're not gonna be little forever. So, you know, yes, it's hard, it's so hard, but it's so worth it. I think I covered most of the things that people asked me about and people always ask me about. So if there's anything else, please let me know in the comments down below. Please leave me a question and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to make it a little bit longer because I missed my video last week. And as you guys can see, like, this is like becoming very hard to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.